morning, everybody. Welcome to One Temple Fitness, October's Temple Talk. Tonight we're talking about the power of our choices. So we're going to go over briefly what is One Temple Fitness, what influences our choices, how to take control, 5 things you can start today, food and mood. Our recipe highlight is infused water, and then we're going to close out. And the quote of the night that I want you to reflect on, I'm really good at making bad choices. So I want you, again, I will mention, we talked about Temple Talk this year. We're changing the format. We really want you to take notes and then afterwards reflect. And so tonight's meditation and reflection is, how do you think that you're really good at making bad choices? What type of choices do you make, and what type of choices do you continue to do and engage in, knowing that it's not healthy or good for you? So who is One Temple Fitness? We are, Aaron and myself, we are based on 1 Corinthians 3:16 through 17, and we focus on stimulating the mind by giving thought-provoking meditations or devotions or just word of the days, strengthening the body through our free monthly group workouts, and stretching the spirit also through our devotions and our meditations, and then of course our temple talks. And now Aaron's going to talk about what influences our choices.
All righty. Hi, everyone. So when creating this presentation, I thought it would be important to first start off to really think about what influences our choices. And so I think the first thing that we want to mention is our environment. Our environment is so important to reflect on, because when we place ourselves in different spaces, we can pick up on that energy, we can pick up on those trends, those practices of that particular environment. So when we're thinking about our home life, right? What are we practicing? Or what are we saying? What is the energy or vibe that's in that space? The picture that's on the slide is when we're at work, knowing it's always being provided. Is there a culture of maybe that you go to happy hour after work every day, right? So you really want to think about, is your environment really cultivating a healthy lifestyle, cultivating a space where you're able to grow and continue to prosper? Or maybe you're in an environment that breathes negativity or stress. So those are the things that you definitely want to reflect on, is what environments are you currently situated in? The other thing is important to realize too, is that our culture can influence our practices, can influence the decisions that we're making, whether that's in a positive light or maybe in a not so positive light. So a lot of times when we're talking about shifting the choices in our life to be a little bit more healthy, sometimes leaving maybe bad cultural practices in the past can be a hard thing. So a picture that's on the slide is good old soul food, right? We might grow up in an environment where maybe there's a certain type of food or ritual that we do that's not maybe necessarily good for our bodies, our mind, body, and our spirit. Another thing that you definitely want to think about is the media, or quote unquote society, right? And so sometimes media can push forward a positive agenda and allow for us to learn about healthier alternatives. And we've definitely seen that within the last couple of years, where, you know, being vegan or organic eating or clean eating has now become more of a accepted practice or knowledge. But there's also the flip side where, you know, you'll be watching TV and every third commercial might be Jack in the Box or Carl's Jr. And so the other picture that's here on the slide is this gorgeous Model S woman who's eating, you know, a burger with some onion rings in there. So what is that image telling us to do? And then the next thing that might be influencing our choices is actually fear, rejection, isolation, judgment. This one, you know, definitely resonates a lot with me, because let's say you are part of a family that has certain practices that maybe you want to shift away from. You might feel like, if I'm making this decision, I will no longer be accepted in my family, right? Thanksgiving is right around the corner. Let's say you are no longer eating meat. Will your family make fun of you or not support you if you're deciding to only eat salad or greens at the dinner table, right? So we might have these ideas or these notions that we might feel rejected or isolated, or we might be judged for the choices that we're making. So that's another thing that we have to be mindful of, is what kind of feelings are going through our minds that is influencing the choices that we're making. Another emotion that we might be feeling is pride, right? I'm fine. I've been doing things, the same all the way up to this point. Why do I need to change, right? Or I love the way that I am, right now. I don't really need to take on these other avenues to live a healthier lifestyle. Or maybe the pride could be, I tried these different methods and it's not right for me. It might be right for you, friend, who's trying to tell me about this, but that's not right for me. So pride actually might get in the way of you to being open-minded to take in new information that might actually help you live a healthier lifestyle. And then the last thing is, sometimes it's the tradition, the habits, right? Just recently, somebody was talking to me about living a vegan lifestyle. And if you've been eating a certain way for a very long time, that's a habit. That's something that has been a ritual for you. And so we really have to reflect on what are the things that we've been doing and how can we break out of that cycle, and what are the things that I might need to let go of. So those are the top things that I think would be helpful for us to start thinking about what influences our choices. So the thing that we want you to reflect on for tonight and moving forward is, what is your biggest influence? So really thinking about, is it my environment, right? Maybe it's the outside pressures of society that's making me want to make a different choice or live a certain lifestyle. Or maybe it's the fear of being judged or isolated. So with that, hopefully once you kind of recognize maybe some of those influencers, you can start to figure out how you can gain control over your decisions, over your life. So the first step that will be helpful with this process is definitely understanding the why. If you're going to make a lifestyle change, you really have to understand why you're doing it. And you definitely don't want to do it for somebody else, for external acceptance, or recognition. You want to do it because you have a personal connection to it. And even deeper with that is, you should really do some research, right? Even the trend of everything being organic or healthy, there's a lot that is still being false advertisement, right? It might be saying that it's actually healthy for you, and in essence, when you read the label, it still has really bad ingredients in it. So you really have to do your own research and come to a place of understanding that this is the lifestyle that I want. I understand why I want this lifestyle, and these are the steps that I'm going to have to take in order to make this lifestyle realistic, right? So understanding the why is so foundational. The other piece is, you have to gain a support system. We are people of flesh, and we can be easily influenced. And if we don't have, a team behind us that's understanding of our choices, understanding of our lifestyles, our values, it's really easy to get back into those old habits or back into a way of life that might not necessarily be, positive or good for us. So being able to share your goals, being able to share the life that you want with those around you, will allow for you to gain a system of support that will allow for you to make better choices. So whether that's family members, friends, coworkers, your peers, whoever that may be. The other thing to do to gain control is definitely starting to think about, are there things that I need to eliminate that are influencing me in a negative way? So if you know that you get invited to happy hour every Friday, right, from your coworkers, and every time you go there, you turn up too hard, right, and you end up eating nachos and having 5 drinks, maybe you need to start taking a step back and saying, either I'm not going to partake in those happy hours anymore, or you need to, when you go to the happy hour, get maybe a salad or a sandwich and have only 1 drink, right? So cut back on things. So you really need to start thinking about, are there things that I need to shift completely? Or maybe there's just some things that we need to alter so that way I'm making better choices, right? Which kind of goes into the next point, which is balance, right? We definitely at One Temple Fitness, we're never like extremists. We're never saying like, clear your whole house out. That might work for some people. It might work for me, for instance. But we do believe in the cheat meal. And we believe that there's, things in life that you might want to enjoy. If you're at your cousin's birthday party, you shouldn't feel bad if they pass around a slice of cake. I will take one, but you shouldn't eat bad foods all the time, right? So it's always, some folks call it the 80-20 rule, where 80% of the time you're eating healthy, 20% of the time you can cheat. Some other folks say that you work hard, you play hard, meaning that if you're going to enjoy the cake, you're going to put in, 10, 30 more minutes of your workout the next day to burn it off. Whatever method that you use, it's still coming back to balance, right? The other component of gaining control is loving yourself. On the other slide, we talked about those other components that kind of can take away that love from us, which is fear, isolation, doubt, right? And if we're really not loving the body, the skin that we're in, we won't be able to really gain control over our choices or be okay with the choices that we make, right? Sometimes we might make a choice where we place ourselves in a space with negative people, or we might do something that's going to negatively impact our mind, body, and spirit. And we need to be in a place, because we love ourselves, to not beat ourselves up about it, but come from a place of understanding and growth and say, I made that choice. What were the consequences, or what are the things that happened? But how can I move forward because I love myself, right? So self-love is so important, so huge. And then the last bullet is talking about accountability and ownership, right? So if you know that you've been in a bad mood and somebody asks you what's been going on this week, and you kind of start to realize that there was a whole line of bad choices that you might have made that week, instead of kind of getting either into a negative headspace where you're saying, poor me, or blaming others, or blaming, even maybe yourself, you should just take accountability about it and say, this week was rough and I didn't make the best choices. And I know that kind of put me in a bad mood, or, I started feeling a certain way, but I'm going to get back on the wagon next week, So being able to get in a place where you understand your choices and taking accountability over your choices, I think is definitely will allow for you to feel more in control, and definitely more healthy about who you are and the decisions that you make. So the questions that you want to ask yourself after this presentation is, who makes up your support system? And if you're really realizing that you're making these shifts towards a healthy lifestyle and people are really not on board, right? They tease you maybe, or maybe they tempt you with food, or they tempt you to skip workouts, or they tempt you by bringing you into negative places where, drama is. Maybe you want to start outreaching to folks outside of your network to gain that support that you might need. And then the other question is, which bad influences do you need to get rid of, right? So the funny picture on there is like, I want to start eating healthy, but first I got to eat all this junk food first so it doesn't tempt me anymore. So just think about those two questions and think about how you want to gain control over your choices. So we just threw a lot of information at you, and it might feel overwhelming, or you might not know where to start. So we definitely wanted to give you kind of something to think about that's more tangible, that you might feel like, oh, this is a good place for me to at least feel like I'm going in the direction of being more healthy and more happy. So the first thing is an accountability buddy, right? So simple. It might seem harder than it is, but it really is not. All you really got to do is, if you need a gym buddy, if you need somebody who you work with that does go out to the happy hour, when you're looking at the menu together, you're going to say, alrighty, friend, girl, my dude, whatever, like, what on here do you feel like we can eat, right? It's good to have that person who understands that lifestyle that you want to live and is willing to rock with you and support you, right? The other piece is, exercise. can be the hardest thing for folks. The choice to work out or not work out can be the hardest choice ever, even though it's just a simple yes or no question. Will I or will I not work out? But you can make the commitment to exercise at least for 30 minutes 2 times a week. Literally, if Monday through Friday, like it has for me, has flown by, you have Saturday and Sunday to get those 2-minute, 30 minutes in. So really think about it. That is definitely possible. 3, you can replace at least one of your meals with a healthier option. Okay. If you're the individual that picks up McDonald's on the way to work because you're in a rush, replace that McDonald's with oatmeal. Okay. If you know that you tend to pick up maybe dinner, replace that dinner with a healthier option. Okay. Another thing that you can do is wake up to a positive affirmation, because a lot of what I've been talking about has been centered on food or maybe working out, but how we control our mind and what we let into our mind space is also a choice, right? So when we're saying, oh, I'm not good enough, or, oh, I feel so bad for this and this and that, we're also contributing to us not pushing forward. We're holding ourselves back. So I really love the photo that we put on the slide, which is simply even writing, I'm beautiful on a mirror, and you get to look at that every single day, has such power to move us in a positive direction. And then lastly is you can incorporate one self-care practice a week, whatever that might be, whether that's reading a book, putting on meditation music in the beginning of the week, treating yourself to maybe a massage, whatever it is, you can incorporate one thing that you can do for yourself a week. So hopefully you will choose 1, 2, maybe try out all 5 of them for the upcoming week and see how that really transforms your whole experience.
Excellent. Thank you, Erin. So now for our food and portion. Many times when we talk about how food impacts our mood or what we eat and what we put in our bodies, we think about solid foods. We don't think about fluids and liquids. However, for fluids and liquids, it's just as important to think about. And so a lack of water actually affects mood, energy level, and the ability to think clearly. Therefore, it's critical to drink plenty of water. It's good to incorporate water that is infused with mood enhancers. So, for example, mint. Scents of mint makes you feel less frustrated, anxious, and fatigued. Mint also enhances oxygen in the blood. Lemon energizes you and enhances your mood by reducing anxiety and depression. Because lemon energizes you, lemon is one of the few foods that contain more negative charge ions, providing your body with more energy when it enters the digestive tract. Therefore, lemon can help reduce 2 common disorders, which are anxiety and depression, which affects the person's whole temple, their mind, body, and their spirit. And cucumber, it regulates blood pressure due to 4% of daily value of potassium, and regulated blood pressure combats anxiety and depression. So it's good to make sure that you regulate your blood pressure. So our featured recipe of the week is actually infused water. And some people call it a detox water. Some people just say water with, little goodies inside, but it's a half a gallon water with 10 mint leaves. You can buy mint leaves at your local grocery store or even markets. 1 cucumber, so slice up the cucumber, and then 1 whole lemon sliced. And then what I do is I just put that in a container, go to the 99-cent or dollar store. You could just get a plastic container, put that in the refrigerator overnight so it can be infused. And then I have a water container that I pour in the next day. So in the morning, the first thing I drink is my infused water, which was like cleansing my body, but also making me feel better overall. And it's a nice, refreshing, particularly this combination is nice and refreshing. and it's not that expensive. For all of these ingredients, it's like $3, $4, maybe $5, depending if you like go to Trader Joe's or a place or Whole Foods that's a little bit more pricey. So it's not that expensive. And then I use the ingredients for like 2 days, depending on which infused water. So here's 2 more recipes of the infused water. You can have like a half a gallon of water, then 1 whole grapefruit. Make sure you're slicing all of these items, a lemon slice, a lime slice, and then 6 mint leaves. And so when I use something that has grapefruit, sometimes that can last me like 3 days or even 4 days, but you want to make sure that you're getting the value out of the nutrients out of the items that you use. So this is our highlighted recipe of the week. And just be mindful that intaking water does enhance your mood because it prevents you from being dehydrated. And so as I tell you all the time, and I just encourage everybody, you change your mind, you change your world. So let's start looking at things a little bit differently and using some of the tips that Erin talked about today and that I talked about today. So we thank you so much for participating in One Temple Fitness, the Power of Our Choices Temple Talk. And we hope that you have discovered a new way to approach your goals in life. You can visit our website at www.7fire8.com for weekly devotional and empowerment blogs, a calendar for upcoming meetups and group workouts, and our merchandise for our One Temple Fitness towel and our One Temple Fitness exercise shirt, which you saw in the PowerPoint tonight. And also, just so you know, our workout is going to be rescheduled. It's not going to be tomorrow morning. Our group workout is going to be next Saturday, same time, 9 a.m. at Walker Temple AME Church in Los Angeles. And like our Instagram page and follow us for new recipes and also different workouts. Thank you so much for joining us. And